the clock.
He called for the unity and the redemption of the African world.
Salute them honorable Marcus
We were
Garvey.
not ready to listen then.
They might not have been ready then.
There's wonder whether we are ready
Ain't no doubt about it.
to listen
We ready, baby.
now.
Let's go. Yeah.
My flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high. Black fists in the sky with the side to side. If the flag fly high,
Come on.
my flag fly high, flag fly high, my flag fly high. RPGs on the rise, all eyes will recognize my flag fly high. Hold it high, let it fly.
Rep those colors forever. Garvey will never die. On my 90, the throne ready. Let's take a ride. Cats won't fix, men don't. Choose a side. This is the path for the warriors. Seldom travel yet and still vainglorious. Black power represents us. You either rolling with Africa or against us. Ha!
My flag fly high, flag fly high, my flag fly high. Black fists in the sky with the side to side. If the flag fly high,
Come on.
my flag fly high, flag fly high, my flag fly high. RPGs on the rise, all eyes will recognize my flag fly high.
The red is for the blood. I got the best stock. The rest got slug.
Imhotep. Yeah, this Nechanab Akuzep Tepi. We're gonna get into whether the Egyptian Medinecha was translated or not. But we're gonna first answer Young Pharaohs' question of how it was done. So I'm gonna go over a section in my new recent research, the systematic history of decipherment of the Egyptian writing and language. The African element is a key. And it's Nechanab, a second level student of Institute of Phonetic Philology, instructor Dr. Raketi Amin, and third level of student of Thailand community, instructor Siba Hibukano. So I'm gonna get into whether or not the system. You know, Young Pharaoh had a question on the system of how did we attach phonetic values to symbols. So this is how it was done. I'm gonna go ahead and read some things, and I'm gonna make it short. Well, Champollion made the complete decipherment, as we all know, to the Egyptian hieroglyphs on a Rosetta Stone. He has attended school at Abbey Desert. He studied Arabic, Syriac, Chaldean, and Coptic. He compared those languages, evaluating linguistic similarities. The source is Jean-Francois Champollion, The True Story of Egypt by Morel Marat Bushbach. He also built upon Young's work and other scholars from the past to create an effective system of decipherment, in which early in his Egyptian analysis he generously explained many of his knowledge in letters like the letter to Indacia. You can get the letter to Indacia. Letter to Indacia is Champollion primary source document. Some of Champollion's extensive Egyptian study can be found in the catalog of Napoleon Expedition in Africa. That's in Description de l'Egypte by Bushbach. Champollion most definitely recognized the African language of Coptic. He compared Egyptian translated words and compared them with vocabulary of Coptic. And he did a unique comparison that he did a transcription using Coptic letters, and everything still matched up identical. So that's in the Grammaire Egyptian by Champollion. On the right is a portrait of Champollion. This is from his primary source work of the Grammar of Egyptian. And in the Grammar of Egyptian, Champollion compared, hundreds of Egyptian words with Coptic. On the right hand side, you see Ray. I'm gonna do a close up so y'all can see the transcription, the Coptic transcription, and y'all can see the. So here, as you see, where my pointer is showing Ra, red, in Coptic transcription. The T is for the transcription. And you see Coptic, rig, and you see the definition or for this. So let's go back. According to Wishbach, Champollion, in a letter to his brother in 1809, mentioned his heavy interest in the African language of Coptic and even admitted in a dream in Coptic. Champollion also stated that his work on Egyptian will be based on this language. So this African language is very important. It's one of the key elements in the artifacts, African artifacts, the key element to him creating the system to put the phonetic sounds and coming up with the alphabetical system himself. So I'm going to read the letter of Champollion. It states that I have thrown myself into Coptic. I want to know Egyptian as well as I know French. My Coptic is moving along, and I find it in the greatest joy because you have sent to speak the language of my dear Amenhotep, Sep, Ramesses, Thutmose is no small thing. He stated that he's seen Coptic in dreams. He said he dream about Coptic. He translates Coptic from everything he think of, and he thinks that the African language of Coptic is the most perfect type of language. So as you see at the bottom, this source is Wishbach, as you see on the right side. The source for these comparisons I already gave you the source earlier. So as you see the grammar of the Egyptians here, chapter 3, you see words like Egyptian Masul, Coptic transcription, Masul and Coptic Masul, Champollion, Egyptian Coptic comparisons, meaning crocodile. So these are excellent transcriptions. We're going to dig into the system in a few minutes. Champollion is well studied with other Egyptian sources before he deciphered the Rosetta Stone. So Champollion did work as we see on the right hand side here. I'm going to boost my screen up. Apologize for that one. Here, as you see, he uniquely compared the letters. Same things I do to this day. I get into other African writing systems and compare their symbols with each other just for fun. I do those type of things just to do it because I love languages. And some of the literature review I reviewed on Champollion, he just did a lot of linguistic things for fun, a lot of experimented with a lot of ideas and things of that nature that I do. I'll pay attention to nobody trying to, put me down or nothing like that. Some of the general ideas I come up with are ideas that, I'm just having some fun with, trying to be creative and trying to come up with my own system of things, So that's what Champollion was doing at a very young age, reading literature review and see a lot of his sources and how he came to be the man he was. So you see here that he compared the 3 forms of Egyptian writing. You see here, let's see. Well, let's not get into that. I don't feel like it. But we're gonna just focus on. You see the bird and in this form of hieroglyphs, the bird here. In this form of hieroglyphs, the cursive form. You see the demotic form, and he did other African. These are African languages. So that's why he used way more other sources than just the Rosetta Stone. He did a lot of comparisons, which people need to know. Bottom on the right hand side, you see his work dealing in Coptic. You see Egyptian, Kerhu, Coptic transcription, Gerho, and the Coptic Gur. Name, Egyptian, Ren, the Coptic T. Coptic transcription, Ren, still the same in the Coptic word, Ren, still the same. So these are very interesting points here. In Champollion's work, The Precise Two System of Hieroglyphics, he did a full general theory on the system of Egyptian hieroglyphics, also using the African language of Coptic to help with deciphering. Now let's go over some key points. Champollion demonstrated that the hieroglyphic alphabet corresponds to all forms of the scripts compared to hieroglyphic hieratic and demotic together. As I just showed you, he did that type of work. The discovery of the phonetic alphabet true key to the entire system. So that was a very important key that he did. He discovered, you know, the phonetic alphabet. The Egyptians used it in all eras to represent alphabetically the sounds of their spoken language, and the hieroglyphic inscriptions are in a large part composed of purely alphabetical signs. So they were basic. These are basic, but these were some of the most important things. And as we see down bottom as we check below, and here goes some primary sources at the footer here at the end of the slide. So you see here as I go over here, I'm gonna highlight it. Yeah, blah blah blah. And then you see here. So these are some footers. Knowing the different nature of the Egyptian characters, you know that they were variations. Some of the characters were used as ideas. It didn't convey a phonetic sound. It just conveyed an idea to let you know what were we speaking about in the language. To prove the general theory of hieroglyphic system, in which we will understand the whole of the hieroglyphic system. You know, he came up with this system, and he was very, very, very determined young gentleman. He was ingenious with linguistics and comparisons. As you see on the right hand side here, I'm gonna do a close up. From his primary work there, you see, you know, he did variations. He drew them, he charted them, collected the data, found out the signs, the symbols, the phonetic sounds. Some didn't have sounds, some did. So, you know, he did a lot of things to help us with the system, using the African element to help us decipher this, you know. But let's get into some interesting thoughts. Okay, the Rosetta Stone is an important factor. It's not the only factor, but this was a very important factor, because here is a trilingual text or trilingual artifact found in Africa. The museum number is EA24. As you see, I'm doing a close up. As you see here, you see, you know, here, as you see the meta-nature, you see the meta-nature here on the top row, the contorts. You know, they say Ptolemy here. They say Ptolemy again, as I read it myself. They say, let's do a super close up. See if we can get to some of these translations. Well, let's say Ptolemy, jet, eternity, I think. Mary, love, Mary. I know this seemed like eternity, I think. But no books. But here at Phonetic Research Center of African History Education Studies, you know, we try to translate without using any books of that nature and stuff like that. So let's go back. Okay. As you see here, this is the one I just, you know, translated. Thalamus. You see the P, T, O, L, M, Y, S. Thalamus. Ankh. You see the Ankh. You see jet set. You see it's kind of hard to make this sound like jet sets. Mary. It's like eternity. I'm trying to figure eternity, love, or something of that nature. But anyway, Champollion, seeing that this matched, you know, Young Pharaohs want to know how. You know, I want to answer your question of how he used African artifacts. So this is an African artifact, and what he did was, as you see the Greek, you do a close up on the Greek, and he knew the Greek. Europeans already knew the Greek language, and what happened was, and this looked like Ptolemy here. Oh, let me insert like a box or something so I can show y'all. Yeah, that's nice right here. Look at this. I pointed it out. It say Ptolemy in Greek. Interesting. Here, look at that. Ptolemy, right? So that's interesting. Where this box is at, that's where it says Ptolemy. I'm actually just talking. But here, let me do an underline. How would I underline? I'm trying to get familiar with this. This is cool. I like this. Look at this line right here. Let's get a colorful line going on. Wow, yeah, I like that. Okay, let's do like a red. See that? Ptolemy. So we're doing actually the steps of what he did himself. So he's saying that it says Ptolemy in Greek. So he's like, well, just say Ptolemy in Greek. Let me go ahead and try to match this up. It might say it here. Or where we looked at over here, it said it a couple times in the talk. So it says Ptolemy here. And he said, well, P, match that with P. He used, this says T, so he matched that with T, and he matched these up with the sounds of the Greek. You know, each sound represented a phonetic value. So we're going to look at some charts here, and you see clearly, you know, Ptolemy here, and you see that he matched the sounds of Greek, king, in Egypt, Kemet writing system. The sound of his name was the same, Ptolemy and Medinetra. So the Egyptians used the P, the T, the O, the L, M, Y, S here, and spelled it out alphabetically. So that's how he knew that the Egyptians had an alphabetical system. And then he got another artifact here. The other artifact was an obelisk here, and he's seen the same names in these Keturks, so he compared it with the same alphabetical signs. Those signs was in the same alphabetical signs. Some of the signs were used in Cleopatra's name, because the spelling, you know, some of the letters in Ptolemy is in Cleopatra's name. So he cross-compared the Keturks. This is from www.imedia.com as a source here. This www.com as a source. And this here is from Budge, the Rosetta Stone by E.A. Wallace Budge, 1893 here. So as you see the lines that Budge demonstrated in his work in 1893, you see that it is sourced. And you see some of the same letters, the phonetic letters. So if this spelled out a name, now we know that the Egyptians had a alphabet, phonetic alphabet. So we're going to read this. Champollion published his letter to M. Dacia. He had published an account of an obelisk to recently brought to London, which was inscribed with the name of a Ptolemy, written with the same characters that on the Rosetta Stone, and also contained within a Keturk. It was followed by a second Keturk, which should contain the name of a queen. The obelisk was said to have been fixed in its socket, bearing a Greek inscription containing a petition of the priests of Isis, addressed to Ptolemy, to Cleopatra, his sister, and to Cleopatra, his wife. Now he argued that this obelisk and the hieroglyphic description, which he bears, are really the result of the petition of the priests, who in the Greek speak the names Ptolemy and Cleopatra, or the dedication of a similar monument. It follows of necessity that the Keturk must contain the name of Cleopatra, because if it's speaking about Ptolemy, it must be talking about his wife as well, because that's what the Greek said, and he looked in it, automatically assumed that it should have another Keturk with Cleopatra name, because the system was speaking about, the Greek was talking about Cleopatra as well, and Cleopatra's sister. So he found those Keturks, and he cross-examined the letters that was found in the Keturk, and he used both of those African artifacts to put together the alphabetical system of the Medinetra. So how he know this was accurate? Easy. He went here to the African language and some of the words that he proposed together, using some of the words that you see was in those catorxes with the P, the T, the S, and all of the other symbols had to represent some type of sound, even though all of them had different natures. The Melanesia had different forms and uniliterals and biliterals and triliterals of that nature. So we get to this aspect of clearly the African languages confirmed his theory to be accurate, because it's not a coincidence that, you know, the African languages like this come show correct and direct theory. His theory was correctly translated. So I don't see how he used no demotic tabs to translate. Only thing he used in demotic was he helped figure out some of the demotic. And also in my research, I talk about that in another timeline, actually, not this timeline, but another timeline. There was another person who was very skilled at demotic and actually translated the demotic himself. So, and all of it was not translated, but a great deal of it. So we must pay attention to that fact. Yeah. Oh, so let's carry on. This is some of my original research down bottom here, and you see that just to take note that clearly, you know, as we zoom in on this, that this is some of my work. And as you see in my work, that we have Egyptian, bilomic, and Coptic. We have cognates here and potential cognates. You have Ra in Egyptian, Tere, Lala, Ra, and Ra. In African language, meaning sun and day. We have time and clock. We have Su, So, Sa, Sa, Su in different African languages, meaning the same thing in the same form and meaning. You have night and dark cognates in Egyptian, bilomic, and Coptic. You have Wer, Kuro, Wala, Wu, Uru are cognates within African languages. So it was Champollion correct? Yes, he was, because these words would not be shown, you know, in other African language systems. We would do correspondence with some of the languages, and we can do it. We can make all type of comparisons, man. We can have fun with this, you know. It's not just, you know, going that way, but look at this. This is amazing. This is some of my original work there. Didn't put all the correspondences, but in Bai, a W in Egyptian is really a K sound in Bai. So you see where that means phylum or house, pylon. You see in Bai is kodo, a wall in yard. You see in Egyptian, where, over the sun. You see in Bai, mean old, kodo. You see in Egyptian, where, mean great, large. You see in Bai, kodo, mean large, big, great. You see in Egyptian, Redat, a name of a crown in Lower Egypt, chief. You see in Bai, kodo, crown, installation of the king, throne. Look at this. You even have the same words. I mean, all through with the same definitions, exactly matching the same. So we must be on point. And we must, you know, study this more. I want Young Pharaoh and Cyber City to study this more, man. I'm not, you know, I respect Cyber City too much, you know, to see my brother, you know, not, you know perfect, have this information. And you must learn this information. I heard Cyber City said they translated the king's name, but you have to understand, if you translate the king's name, then the system that you proven that the system that Champollion is accurate. Why? Because some of the alphabets are in the king's catorx, and being that some of the alphabet is in the king's catorx, they use that to show that the sounds. You see the sounds that was all through Egyptian text. So that's how they got the sounds, man. They got the sounds by comparing it with artifacts, with like obelisks to confirm it in the Rosetta Stone and African languages. So that's how, even though more literature to find out everything, I just did a little basic of my historical systematic timeline, so y'all have the basics now. You know, you can know, oh, they compared, you know, the artifacts, they compared, you know, the demotic, hieratic, and compared the signs. The guy did a whole lot of things to come to this conclusion of the system. In African languages, as you see here, it confirms this. You know, this is not by coincidence, so you got to keep an eye on it. So I will dig into some more. I'm gonna get in the next session of this. We'll get into showing some of my examination as I examine y'all debate. I will be going through some examination I posted on Facebook. You know, not nothing heavy, but it's still some knowledge that the world should see, the world should know, and see some of my comparisons. I want other scholars to look at my comparisons, things of that nature. And see some things, you know, different things. We're gonna look through a couple things that I put out. So Shem Hotep.